And we are live. Hello, everyone on the Facebook world. My name is Lincoln Quilliam. I'm the founder and director of the Kunanyi Mountain Run. We're holding the second edition this year in less than 4 weeks. It's come upon us super quick. Now, I'm super stoked for this conversation. I grew up in the foothills of Kunanyi in the Waterworks Valley. And Kunanyi was my playground on foot, on bikes, in the trees, whatever. But one thing I didn't learn much of was the Aboriginal connection and spirituality and culture. And so it's been a great honour for me to have KMR as an open and supported platform to share Tasmanian Aboriginal stories and culture on their terms. So it's a great pleasure to, and hence that's why KMR is a mountain culture and community festival, as well as an epic trail running festival. And with me tonight is the amazing Ruth Langford. Yeah, Ruth.
Yeah, thank you.
Ruth is the founding director of Nayri Niara, an Aboriginal-owned social enterprise that connects to Indigenous culture, country, community, the self and the sacred. Ruth is an amazing songwoman and storyteller and draws upon her cultural knowledge of her Yorta Yorta mother and the Tasmanian Aboriginal community where she was born and still lives amongst us to this day. Welcome, Ruth.
Thank you, Nayri Niara too. I'm so very glad to be joining everybody. Please do drop your comments in the side. Let us know where you're from. I'm actually speaking to you from Naarm in Melbourne. I'm visiting my beautiful daughter here. And so I would like to begin by an acknowledgement of country. And so perhaps you'd like to participate with us and consider where you're joining us from. We would love to know if you know what is the traditional language name of the place where you are viewing us from. And if there's any mob out there, we would love to know who you're from, where your family, how you're joining us. So perhaps we can have a deep breath in and just connect into our body. And then I personally love just to close my eyes so that I can really get a sense of the life force that is the country that's holding me right now. And also just expanding that to consider all those that have gone before us. And so I pay my deep respects and acknowledgement to all the First Nations lands where we are gathered. I am acknowledging that I am on Wurundjeri country of the Kulin Nation. I also would like to acknowledge Nipaluna, where Lincoln is joining us from, and the continued custodians of the Tasmanian Aboriginal people, the Palawa or Pakana people. And for the Moanina people who their song stories, their care and their guidance and the knowledge and law that have formed the country and continues to inform us. And we pay our deep respects to all the senior knowledge holders, the elders, those people who have been able to survive such hardship but continue to act with such generosity. And we also acknowledge all those emerging young people that are stepping into their cultural responsibilities. And we acknowledge the spirit of place, that the creation beings and the all life that flows through us, particularly the Lani, the water, that is our source of connection and life. And particularly we'd like to pay respects and acknowledge Kunanyi, that beautiful creation being, the mountain, where we will be hosting and inviting people to come and connect more intimately with the knowledge and the spirit of place through the invitation of the Tasmanian Aboriginal community. Yatiwata, Nayri Niara. So deep breath in, and if you have your eyes shut, just when you're ready, opening them and coming back to join us.
Whoa. Thanks, Ruth. Oh, so I'm also wearing a special piece of culture, I'd say, that Palawa community members Shani Reid and Jai Croswell shared with us last year. And the culture and artwork that they've shared is continuing on. These T-shirts have been worn across the world and across Australia, and is a key part of our visual identity for KMR. So just wanted to recognise their contribution and wearing it today.
Look forward to getting mine this week. You'll see me yes. out, dressed, styled up in it everywhere I go. And before we proceed, I also just want to pass on our respects, but apologies from Nita, Nathan Pitchford, who unfortunately can't join us today for this conversation, but he will be one of the hosts for our welcome ceremony, as well as some of the other Tasmanian Aboriginal community members from Pakenakanaplila. And Nathan and Linton Burgess and Harley Mansell will also once again being that generosity of spirit of sharing culture, but also ceremony, not only for the opening ceremony, but they will once again be offering a cleansing ceremony. And that cleansing ceremony is one of the very important ceremonies that most First Nations people around the world acknowledge as it's really important for a way to set us up in right relationship. And particularly here in Tasmania, the use of smoking ceremonies or water cleansing ceremonies. It's a tradition that throughout all the different First Nations in Australia, and when we go to country, we first pay our respect and introduce ourselves. And then, particularly before ceremony or something where we are inviting in the deepening of an experience, we want to make sure that there is a ritual or ceremony that enacts a transition both within our psyche, but also within the physical and the spiritual realm. As First Nations people, as Aboriginal people, we understand the power of spirit and that we have maintained those traditions and cultures for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of generations. And we know, because it's helped us, not only our resilience, but it's also helped us to receive insights and connection and keeps us healthy, as well as guidance and protection. Those smoking ceremonies, they can be very powerful. And Lincoln, I think you've explained to me a couple of times that people who've last time they came, they expressed to you the power of having a smoking ceremony before one of the runs.
Yeah, 100%. So Nathan and Harley and the team from Pakenakanaplila shared the smoking ceremony with us last year at the start of each of the 3 runs on Saturday, and far and away that was one of the biggest positive feedbacks that we gained from last year. That runners having the opportunity to be a part of that ceremony and feel and touch and smell the smoke and hear the noise making from Nathan and the team. It was so powerful, mingling around in the pre or dawn light with the fire and with the smoke, and just before then setting off on the run, it was amazing. So yeah, super stoked that I think they enjoyed themselves and the interaction with our trail running community and the feedbacks there. So super stoked that they're keen to join us again and share ceremony again with the runners. But yeah, I should also say that Ruth is and Nayri Niara has come on board with us on the KMR journey this year. Leading the cultural production and the culture festival that we have, the half of our event, really. So there's some pretty cool things planned, Ruth, and some really great partnerships. So what are you most excited about for KMR this year?
Well, what I'm quite inspired about is having conversations. Well, first of all, meeting trail runners. I've only just recently started to develop relationships with people and actually listen to their story. And what I find really fascinating is they may have a different language to describe, but what many people describe is this expanding awareness that enables them, one, to feel the deepening presence of themselves. So this flow state that people describe, and the sense of replenishment that is felt particularly on trail runs, that running itself, whether or not it's in street running, can give elation. But the depth of replenishment when we are moving through country in an intentional way and we hit that flow state, we often describe that as our connection. That's what connection is. That when we say we invite a connection to country, we are that's it. That living in that flow state, feeling the expansion of ourselves, feeling that it's like water. When a water droplet falls from the cloud, it doesn't need to make its effort in order for it to make its way to the stream, or the stream doesn't need to make an effort to make its way to the river, or the river requiring, an intentional effort to make its way to the wholeness of the ocean. And so in lots of our song stories and teaching, that flow state, that ease of a natural way of being in connection with all things, that ancestors, the spirit of the place, my own internal way of being, should naturally be moving in harmony and right relationship with country and the life force that is around us. And so we may have a different language, method, or structure, but I'm really interested to hear that this way of being that many runners tap into when they're in the run, that is ultimately what we would say, that's our human birthright, to be connected, that's what we're talking about.
Yep.
And so all these practices of what we're offering is really about encouraging people to deepen their understanding, first and foremost, about the need to privilege First Nations knowledges and voices as a way back to the well-being of ourselves as society and country. But it's also about, finding that which is uniquely beneficial so that you can then overflow that life force in a positive way in your own life. And so I'm stoked. I am so stoked that we're actually going to be partnering with Lakapawa Lutawita and their guides, who many people would know the guides from the Wukalina walk. They're going to be offering a series of 4 different walks with us. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that.
Absolutely. No, and everything you were just saying about the connection to country. I mean, it makes so much sense for me as a trail runner, and I've, part of why I put on KMR is to share the benefits that trail running has given me. Because I mean, trail running keeps me sane. I would just be a crazy person who wouldn't necessarily be the nicest person. That might be out till the wee hours of way too often, and or anyway, that's trail running keeps me sane. And what it also gives is it allows me to connect deeper with myself, 100%. And this is particularly for longer ones or harder runs where you've got to dig deep. And the only way to dig deep is to let yourself go and allow yourself to connect with yourself. And that can be pretty hard sometimes. You've built up walls and barriers to yourself and whatever else, but you to really dig deep and deliver a big run, you've got to peel back those layers and dive into yourself. So connection with self, and then connection with the landscape. Now that's something I want to sort of go into a little bit later, but also connection to community, because trail running or running of any kind, of course, can be a solo activity, and for a lot of people, it is a solo activity, and that's absolutely fine, and that's where you get connection to yourself. But there's also a heap of social running groups out there on the roads and also on trails, and the benefit there is you connecting with other people that you wouldn't normally connect with. They're not your work colleagues. They're not necessarily your social circle. They're not your family, and the ability there to connect around the same thing of, hey, physical activity, it's for our health and well-being, but then put it out on the trails when you're connecting with the natural landscape as well. I think there is more that you feel out in the natural landscape for running, and that's why, and because pounding the pavement is hard on the body, that's why I and so many others are drawn to trail running for that. It's a deep, really, it's some form of a spiritual connection to our natural landscape, and it's amazing.
Well, the things that I love is that within the program that we've developed, it's an opportunity for people to lean into whether or not you're already comfortable with its information like you are, or perhaps you're somebody new that's curious around Aboriginal ways of knowing and being, that you can come along in a safe, supported environment and participate in experiential processes that can give you a deeper sense of, this is something that I can connect to. I can connect to in this way. And the 4 walks that Lakapawa Lutawita will be providing, on the Saturday, there's 2 walks to Myrtle Falls, which will go for, there'll be transfers from the Run Hub available to transfer people up to the guided walk, where you'll meet some tour guides that will take you on that walk. You'll have to excuse me on coughing. They're making curry in the background.
That's all right.
Chili's just got me big time. I'm looking forward to what they're cooking up, but no Keen's curry down there. Proper job. The walks will give people an opportunity to learn more about the way our people relate to and learn from and connect to and honor the country, with the hope and intention that those people that were then out either running on the mountain with the mountain themselves, or when they go home to their own trails that they connect to, that they have a sense of an opportunity to expand a little bit more deeper within that, as well as understanding and valuing the culture that is being shared. And so on the Sunday, we're actually providing those two tours will be for more family orientated. So for those runners who have ran on either Friday or Saturday that then want to come and spend some time in a beautiful way to recovery, with their family, walking on country. It's a much more gentle, still an hour and a half. All the tours go for an hour and a half. So there is that aspect of, I think, something that's I'm really looking forward to. I really hope that people support the generosity of the Aboriginal people that will be coming and sharing knowledge, as well as we've got a whole variety of activities. Pakanakana Pleader will be hosting another dance workshop to move your body. There's music will be provided, as well as we've got some beautiful films and storytellers, and one of our emerging knowledge keepers, Jamie Graham Blair, who recently ran the New York Marathon, will be on Saturday night talking and sharing his journey with people. So really encourage you to come and have a listen and support him. And on the Friday, the 24th, we kick off the evening with a speakers panel around connection to country. And that's not just from Aboriginal people. This is from a variety of different people going, okay, so how, as non-Aboriginal people, do people connect in a way that is respectful to the traditional owners as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Lots happening.
Lots, and that's amazing. And
Bush dyes, weaving, painting,
kids stuff for kids.
storytelling, all sorts of things. Yeah,
And
check out the program. It'll be
a lot of
on.
that is happening in a new sort of precinct, I guess, in the Run Hub, which is the storytelling cultural place. So still having the food vans and a couple of licensed bars and Kiza for physio, find your feet, hang out, and an expo or a stall for. I think wukalina is going to be there as well, and the like. But then, sort of a little bit off to the side there, we'll have this storytelling precinct, and maybe even a sauna and some ice baths. I hear that sounds pretty cool.
Well, one of the things that I'm really passionate about is that, how to not only are we doing the big, amazing, epic journeys, but how are we then also replenishing and repairing so that we can be also present for our family and community, and how are we overflowing and taking care of ourselves is a First Nations principle of the wholeness of who we are. It's not always go, 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 go. We are more fluid with the ebbs and flows of the moon cycle. And so at the Run Hub, there will be a whole variety. We'll have not only the yoga, we'll have some breath work, and we've got some stretch and meditation to some incredible live music on the Sunday. And yes, we are planning on a mobile. Hopefully we'll have also the plunge pools, ice baths, rub downs. Yeah, it'll be lushness city.
Yes, lovely. And I mean, it's having the guided walks with Tasmanian Aboriginal community members from wukalina Walk. That is amazingly special, and that's quite unique. I mean, these walks may not have happened very often or at all so far. So it's a pretty special opportunity for the Hobart community and the trail running community to experience. So that direct culture sharing, walking, talking on country. And something just clicked for me before about the smoking ceremonies and culture. So I mean, even though the runners are off out running by themselves or with the other runners as they're running, they, having just been through the smoking ceremony, they have breathed in that ceremony and culture, and this is why I think the smoking ceremony was so powerful and so well regarded. Then they saw Kunanyi with different eyes, or they saw the landscape. They ran knowing more about culture and connection. And so a message that came out through Nathan Pifford yet last year was running with, not running on. Not running on the mountain. Well, yes, that's not inaccurate as well, but consider running with. And that really ties to the second sort of pillar of my running, of connection to natural landscape, is to really have, call it success. That's a very capitalist term, but to be safe and sustainable and have the most enjoyment out of running on trails, really need to connect to that landscape. You got to, and to it's about respecting where you are and respecting the weather conditions, respecting how remote you are, what the nature and roughness of the trail, what every single rock is doing or not doing. It's super easy to tread on a rock in the wrong way, then you're tumbling down off the side of a mountain, maybe at worst. It does happen. Or that rock slips, your ankle then gets crushed against another rock, or you roll an ankle, and hey, you're only 2 kilometres off from a road, but it might take 10 hours to get rescued. Anyway, sorry. Pull myself out of that rabbit hole. Connecting with the landscape and running with. So particularly really long runs, if you're not connected with the landscape and you can feel it and feel the roughness and flow with it, if you're fighting against it and trying to conquer it and whatever, you're gonna fail. 100%. You might get to the end on this one, but you're not going to have much fun. So the really good fun for running is connecting with, understanding what the trail's doing, respecting the weather as it's coming, observing everything. And then as things, nature is going to throw things at you. And there's no point whinging about it because you're out there. There's nothing you can do about removing yourself, and but being ready to adapt to whatever gets thrown at you. Then all of these things end up, after time and I guess practice and experience of allowing yourself to connect, respecting, being ready, adapting, that's when you achieve this flow state, which is sublime. And you don't have to be going fast to achieve that flow state. Actually, being just nice, cruisy, the best kept secret of trail running, you don't actually run uphill. It's not really energy efficient. But yeah, running with Kunanyi. And so that's the, the reason why we have Run with Kunanyi. It's originated, from the message from Nathan last year in his ceremony, and we like to share that and pass that on to every runner or every person who hears about KMR. That it's not about conquering, it's not about getting to the top. And actually, I must say, we understand Kunanyi is a very special and spiritual place for the Tasmanian Aboriginal people. And out of a sign of our respect for Aboriginal culture on Kunanyi, we do not stand on top of the pinnacle. We do not climb that last that rock pillar, even in the vertical kilometre, which is all about racing to the top. Like, that is actually the kind of point of it. We don't. We're like, no. We can still have just as good as experience of an event and race and whatever else, but we don't need to stand on the very top as a sign of respect. And we're it's easy for us to provide that signal of respect. So, yeah, run with Kunanyi. And Ruth, we've only sort of really just met each other in the last couple of months, and this is actually some of the more in-depth conversation we've had about trail running and connection to country. And I must say, I'm still, at the very start of my journey of learning about Indigenous culture and connection to country and the benefits to myself and our society. But it's really promising. I mean, there's so much synergy between trail running and Indigenous connections. So,
It absolutely is. And we'll be also very fortunate to hear directly from one of our elders, Auntie Teresa Sainty. And I call her Auntie, even though she's close to my age, not that older, but she is a senior knowledge keeper in our community and has been really instrumental in the reclamation of language of Palawakani. And she's also an amazing woman to hear her respect and knowledge and stories. And she will also be sharing both on some of the walks as well as in some of the speakers panels. So this synergy around the open invitation to go that little bit more deeper, both within inside of ourselves as we are journeying with the mountain, knowing that the mountain is a being of life force, of wisdom, of knowledge. And if we sort of reorientate our perception so that we can go even curiously, so what would it be like if I'm open to the guidance and support of this life force that is all around me, this spirit, that can't be a bad thing. That can only be a positive thing. And, many people will describe being out and all of a sudden they have these epiphanies come in, or the clarity will arise, or, even just that thing like, I feel better. That's a good thing. That's like what we say, Nayri Niara. That's the good spirit being invoked, being invited in. So, yeah, I'm really delighted that there seems to be a rising of many people now of wanting to listen with that deep listening and curious invitation, and also being respectful to honour that Aboriginal people are the traditional owners of this land, and finding a way to pay respect and just ask how can we be repair. And so personally, I'm really grateful that we've had the opportunity to come in and support KMR, and we look forward to meeting all you mob. When you come to the Run Hub, please do come up and say hello to us, and come and sit around the fire with us, have a billy tea. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I'm hoping to join as many of these, cultural activities and panel discussions as possible, and that, the sauna and ice bath and rub downs and the breath work and meditation, like, oh, it's going to be perfect for my, it's 18 hours on Saturday of runners out there. So, it's a big weekend and lots of amazing runs and cultural activities. Super looking forward to sharing it with Hobart and the rest of the national, and a couple of international people are coming down. So it's and the years to come, the world is, or Kunanyi, there are no doubt so many stories to uncover and share, and people to connect with, and provide platforms for them. So looking forward to what the future brings as well. Cool. Well, thank you, Ruth, very much.
Absolutely, my pleasure hanging out with you again.
Yeah, well, there will be more. And thanks for everyone to join us tonight. And if you're watching a replay some other time, come on down to KMR.
We will put the links up for the bookings for the walk. You will have to book online. There are limited places in both of the walks, so please do book yourself with your family in for the walk. It's so recommended, and they will sell out. So please do come on board and click the links and come and see us.
Yes. And a little thank you. These things don't happen without a lot of time and effort of a lot of people, and on from all sides, and also some support from the City of Hobart and GHD. So thanks to everyone and those organisations for contributing to allow this to happen. Thanks, Ruth. Woolika.
Okay, Woolika. Yeah, that's the one. Goodbye, Woolika.